Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UENradio.com.
It's time for the Bonnie Sher Show, a whirlwind of wit, wisdom, celebrity, and the boomer life. With a little bit of this and a lot of that and so much more you don't want to miss, here's Bonnie.
And another lovely liftoff for us. Well, hello and welcome, my new friends and my old ones from close by and far away. I am your host. My name is Bonnie Sher, and we are here today, and we will be checking in on the world of entertainment, talking about the great boomer generation and the world of type 1 diabetes. So, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please join our conversation by calling 323-843-2826. I always think that's so funny when I do that. Or the other thing you can do is, of course, tweet the hashtag #BSHARE, SHAR, radio. Before we get this show on the road, I'd like to acknowledge jazz great Wayne Cobham for writing my super duper hero theme song. Thank you, Wayne. And also, as always, a thanks to Corey Bone of Crown and Anchor Jewelry. You can follow Corey on Twitter for more information on the pieces he allows me to wear in exchange for this promotional message. Here's the piece right here. When we come back, jazzy jazz singer Angie Wells.
Your life story is more than the things you do. It's a story built on the moments you make today and the impact you have on others. How big is your story going to be? Live your legend.
Well, welcome, Angie. Thank you for taking time to come in and schmooze with me today. Angie, you've got some wonderful things going on. And what about that voice? And not for nothing, but what about the way you look on this CD cover? There isn't enough makeup in the world for me. Anyway, tell me. First of all, I want to know, when did you start singing? Did you always know you were going to be a singer? Did you change from a chemical engineer? I mean,
well, actually, I grew up, of course, singing on the choir at church. But no, I didn't always know I wanted to be a singer. I didn't think that it was really a viable option as a career.
Really?
Because, I grew up in a family of, people who had not had a chance to go to college. And basically, my generation was the first generation in my family to have that opportunity. So you assumed you go to college, you pick something, and you pick something from college. So it started out as a pre-med major. Was always into science, and actually ended up finally graduating with a a degree in marketing. But I didn't start singing until, I'd say maybe about 9 years ago.
Now, I was reading up, and Paris popped up. Wow, that must have been a rough gig for you. How did that come about? Did you know that's what? Were you just visiting Paris? And
Yes.
so you didn't go there with the idea that I'm going to go to Paris to sing.
No, not on that visit. The visit where it all started, I'd actually gone to see a girlfriend of mine who I hadn't seen in a while. And she took me out to a really cute little jazz supper club. And unbeknownst to me, she had mentioned to them that her friend, who is an American jazz singer, was here for dinner. And they said, oh, well, we want to have her come up and do some numbers with her. And so she came back to the table and said, so you're going to sing with them tonight? And my mouth dropped open, and I was stunned because I wasn't prepared.
Right, sure.
But I did a couple numbers, and the audience reaction was pretty phenomenal. And I thought, maybe I can do this.
Isn't it?
So,
That's a great moment to reach when you really accept yourself for the talent that you have. It's unfortunate that and I think most of us are this way, that it really takes somebody else to say that to. I mean, I don't know about you, but I never would have had the moxie to say, well, I know I can do this. I need to wait until somebody gives me permission.
yeah.
But still in all, here you are. So I know that you have this new recording out, Angie Wells, Love and Mischief. We'll be playing a cut from that in a little bit. That is my song of the week. Let me ask you this. If you weren't singing, let's say you didn't go to Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that didn't start you off in that direction. What do you think is there anything you would have wanted to do that you haven't done because of your singing?
No, because, I have two careers. So I have the other career, which I think you know about.
No, she's not a truck driver, so do not be looking for her on the road.
No, there really isn't anything that I haven't done
Isn't that
because of my
wonderful?
singing. There really isn't. The only thing I would say that if I, could change, obviously I'd have an endless supply of money so that I could be completely financially secure. And I would probably, be very happy being the mother of 6.
As opposed to the one that you have, by the way, the family and the one child you have.
And I would have had more had things been different, but they weren't.
I
I'm grateful for
understand that.
him.
I understand that. Is he musical?
No.
Is the husband musical? Do you guys have music playing in the house?
Oh, yes. Yes, we do. And my son likes music, and he likes to dance, and but I wouldn't necessarily say that I don't think he got my musical talent.
No, huh?
No.
It's always interesting to look at your kids and see what they got from you,
yes.
and what you need to get from them.
That's really true. That's
I'm
really
still,
true.
my son's 41. I'm still trying to figure that out. So I don't know that happens
Ever
right
happens.
away. I don't know. We try. We do try. So we have the release on the CD. Are you doing any performances around?
Well, actually, I'm on a little bit of a break right now. I just came back from a 2-month tour in France, and and I performed performed last Friday at LACMA. Was kind of the sort of the finale for that. And now I'm about to take a little break because I have to start on my other career for a few months. So.
Yes, and getting the son back to school.
Yes,
and I remember
yes.
those days very
Yes.
well.
I guess I shouldn't really keep my other career a mystery. I don't want people to think I'm something that's illegal.
Well, we already decided you don't move furniture. No, Miss Angie is a professional makeup artist, which I am not, and I just.
Oh, thank you.
No wonder you look so gorgeous. Well, I mean, you gotta be gorgeous to even look better, So do me a favor.
Yes.
Hold your thought. We're going to take a little break, and when we return, I want to know your influences, your musical influences. So it says Toss to Break 2. Oh, Jarvie.
To be at peace with myself is the most prominent thing, and I am at peace with myself. I didn't deal this deck, I'm just playing the game. That's all. That's it. Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise. Been making sure they get the nutrition that I need, and it's a balanced meal. My name is Maurice McGriff. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Since when did experience become something to hide? I say we own it. Lose all that negativity. Just let it go. It's just bad energy. Oh, and lose those terrible black balloons they give you on your 50th. What's up with that?
Hey, we hear you. That's why our members love AARP the magazine. It celebrates you with fun and provocative content, from lifestyle and entertainment to in-depth reporting. And it's just one of the great benefits of membership.
If you don't think this is right for me when you think AARP, then you don't know ARP. Get to know us at aarp.org/possibilities.
You are tuned in to the Bonnie Sher Show, Boomer Life. And right now we have the pleasure of chatting with Angie Wells. So come on, join the conversation. Call us 1-323-843-2826 or tweet the hashtag, that's #BSHER radio. So let's pick up where we left off before. Angie, who were your influences? What were you listening to as a young girl?
Well, Sarah Vaughan, Carmen McRae, of course, Ella. You can't skip that one. That's for sure. Little Betty Carter. And I discovered Anita O'Day later on and just really loved her as well. Those I would say were probably, and of course Nancy Wilson. You know, you've got those sort of ones that are right at the forefront there. And my home was filled with jazz and blues. That's what my dad listened to all the time. So I got to hear that music quite often. And then, you know, on the instrumental side, or actually on the male side, Joe Williams, who I absolutely loved. Johnny Hartman, you know, another one who was just amazing. And then, you know, the instrumentalists, Ellington, Basie, Brubeck.
Well, so it was in you before you even knew it.
Yes, I guess it was.
Yeah, well, those are some pretty terrific role models in terms of their voices. One of the things that I love about listening to jazz, and even performing it, is that there is that innate ability the jazz singers have to bend that note, to take that chance. You do not have to, I mean, unless you're performing it for, if you're singing a Soundtime song, you better sing all the right words the way he wrote them and in that fashion. You know, but for the most part, you can take any song and you make it your own that way, because nobody else is probably going to hear what you hear, and what you hear is what you've learned. I just think that's so special. I think also that keeps every show very fresh.
I agree.
You know, how do you feel about performing live as opposed to in the studio?
I prefer performing live. I don't do that much studio work unless I'm recording something for myself. Every once in a while I'll do a demo or something for somebody. But no, I love performing live. I love the interaction with the audience. That to me,
Isn't that
it's
the truth?
Well, it's a symbiotic relationship. We're all feeding off of each other. You know, we're all getting energy from each other, and it's a wonderful
And sometimes cigar smoke.
Well, fortunately, you know, now there are so many places that you cannot smoke inside. That's helpful.
Yes, it is.
That is helpful.
It is, because I do remember one night there were two large gentlemen sitting with their wives ringside, you know, and they were both puffing on these huge, cheap cigars. How do I know they were cheap? Because they smelled like cheap cigars. It was pretty simple. And every time I would draw a breath, I had to make something cute out of it, because, like I said, they were rather large, both of these fellas, and I just took the two cigars, dumped them in a glass of water. Then I found out, I don't know what a great idea this was. They're bigger than I am. They probably have more money, too. But, no, I went to Davidoff, or one of the finer cigar stores, and had 2 cigars delivered to them at the hotel where they were staying. Okay. Don't want any bad talk coming back.
Sure.
But just people not think, Well, on the other hand, they've come to see you. I figure they're my guests. But do not be a guest with a big old ugly cigar that smells like a big old ugly cigar. Any plans for performing in anywhere in the near future, or are you going to just lay back a little bit now?
Well, I'm going to lay back a little bit now. I'm working on expanding what I can do next year. In the summer, I'll be going back to Europe again for touring, and I'm kind of working on that because you're kind of start out about a year in advance for that. So while I'm working on makeup for the next few months, I will be working on what's going to happen when the show ends, the show that I work on for makeup when that ends, so that I can be ready. So I'll probably have something around the holidays, but it would most likely there won't be a lot happening again until maybe the spring.
Well, you keep me informed of what's going on, and I'll let my viewers and listeners know. And now that we're Facebook friends, I can check in and find out the scoop.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, all right, Angie, let me ask you this. If you would be so kind, let our audience know how they can support you, how they can follow you, and how they can find your music.
Well, you can find me on Facebook at Angie Wells. Angie Wells Jazz Vocalist is the fan page. And if you'd like to be a friend, look for Angie Wells and this picture, because there's quite a few Angie Wells on Facebook, and so that's the photo that I have right now. So you'll know that that's the one that you want to click on to just be my friend as well.
Perfect. Well, listen, all of the best. I think you're fantastic.
Thank you.
Of course, I'm not a booker, but I am. I go out to see good talent all the time, and it will be my pleasure to come and see you.
Thank you.
While we're at it, the way that I actually met Angie is through another friend of the Bonnie Sher show, and that's Rudy Wells. Rudy Wells. I think you're his sister-in-law now. It's really Rudy Calfo, who has introduced me to some wonderful, wonderful talent. And boy, he wasn't at all wrong about you. He sent me your bio and about 5 or 6 cuts of yours. My mouth dropped open and I begged him. So we got to get Angie on the show. And he did. So thank you, Rudy. I think we're going to have to start paying you, because I don't pay anybody. So don't be counting on that for lunch money, okay? Angie, thank you for being here with me. It was a real pleasure for me.
I forgot one thing.
Tell us.
You can get the CD on iTunes and Amazon. Thank you.
So there's a little plug for us. Amazon needs a little help. I hear they're failing. So let's send them some more money. But I don't know how I lived before Amazon Prime. Immediate gratification clearly is not fast enough for me. Anyway, as we go to break, I really want to acknowledge the important work of the Diabetes Research Institute, and I strongly encourage you to support their efforts. There are millions of children and adults with diabetes dreaming of a cure for this devastating disease. We all dream of living without painful finger pricks, let alone insulin injections and the risk of the life-threatening complications. The scientists at the Diabetes Research Institute are working hard to make that dream a reality by finding a biological cure. They're advancing, I've got goosebumps even thinking about them. They are advancing research to patients and changing lives. And I'd like you to take a look, and you can visit them online at diabetesresearch.org. Our song of the day is coming up next, right after these ads.
Type 1 diabetes can be living in anyone.
Type 1 diabetes is when your pancreas doesn't produce insulin. It's not caused by your diet. It's not caused by anything you did.
Type 1 diabetes can be very serious.
Blindness, amputation.
Learn more about type 1 diabetes.
Help support JDRF finding a cure.
T1D looks like my brother.
T1D looks like a friend.
Type 1 diabetes looks like me.
Crush me some ice, skin me a peach, leave the fuzz for my pillow. Start me a smoke, talk to me nice. You got to wine me and dine me. Don't try to fool me, bejewel me. Either amuse me or lose me. I'm getting hungry, peel me a grape. Peel me a grape. Pop me a cork, French me a fry. Crack me a nut, bring a bowl full of vines. Chill me some wine, keep standing by. Just entertain me, champagne me. Show me you love me, kid love me. Best way to cheer me, cashmere me. I'm getting hungry, peel me a grape. Peel me a grape. Here's how to be an agreeable chap. Love me and leave me in luxury's lap. Hop when I holler, baby, skip when I snap. When I say do it, jump to it. Send out for scotch, call me a cab. Cut me a rose, make my tea with the petals. Just hang around, pick up the tab. Never outthink me, just make me. Polar bear, hug me, don't bug me. New Thunderbird me, you heard me. I'm getting hungry, peel me a grape. Peel me a grape. To be an agreeable chap, you got to love me and leave me in luxury's lap. Hop when I holler, skip when I snap. When I say do it, you know what to do. Send out for scotch, call me a cab. Cut me a rose, make my tea with the petals. Just hang around, pick up the tab. Never outthink me, just make me. Polar bear, hug me, baby, don't bug me. New Thunderbird me, you heard me. I'm getting hungry, peel me a grape. Peel me a grape. Peel me a grape.
amazing, isn't she? So happy she was here. Well, welcome back to the Bonnie Sher Show, Boomer Life. My co-host for this segment, yay, we have contact, is Laurence Chalem. I'm Aaron. Yay!
Hi, Bonnie.
Hold on, I'm still talking about what a great guy I am. But I got you now. Of course, y'all may remember Laurence from last week, whom we were a little short on time, and we issued a to be continued, and I like to keep my promises. So we have Laurence with us again, who is a member of the T1D Type 1 Diabetes, that is, community from right here in the great state of California. Welcome back, Laurence.
Bonnie, great to be back. Every day's a gift, right?
Every day is a some gifts we like better than others, but yes, I'll tell you, every day is a gift. Ooh, my goodness, are you an up kind of guy? You can say this to me at 2 p.m. I don't know if I would think it was such a great gift at 7:15, but okay, I'm up now. I did a lot of thinking after last week's show. Then I think I mentioned to you that I came up with the thought, which was, gee, I guess you can teach an old diabetic new tricks. Because for this past week, I have been following low carb. And when I say low, I've kept it between 40 and 60. Yesterday, I think, was 42. So let me ask you a question. Here's something I haven't locked into yet. What is the difference between low carb and a keto diet?
Okay. So thanks for that question, Bonnie. There are some standards. Yeah. If you look to Dr. Bernstein, he'll say that a low carb diet is under 50 grams of glucose, of carbohydrate that will convert to glucose, because we don't really need to count the structural or the fibrous carbohydrates, because they won't raise your blood sugar. And to get into ketosis, it's different for different people, but typically it would be under, say, 30 grams.
And the benefit of that would be?
What's that?
Is there a reason that you want to place yourself in ketosis? I mean, what's the benefit of doing that? I only know that my keto sticks, heaven forbid they would turn color. Could you explain that a little bit?
So it's a good thing that I know a little bit about it, just enough to get myself in trouble. But there are basically three types of, or three ketones. I don't need to call them out the biochemistry and let you know the chemical name. But essentially they're made, right? Ketones are basically acetones, and they're the result of burning fat. Yeah, so you burn fat, and if you burn fat, you'll find these ketones in your blood, and you can test for them. And the strips will only measure one of the ketones, and there are different kinds of strips. I'm sorry, the urine sticks.
Yes.
The keto sticks, right? They'll only measure one type of ketone, and so you really need a meter to be able to measure the other two types of ketones. Suffice it to say, if you're in ketosis, it by definition means that you're burning fat. And if you're burning fat, then by definition, again, it means that you're losing weight, right? You're losing fat weight. And the difference between that and just low carb is that you're eating enough carbs to probably keep you out of ketosis, but you can still be losing weight.
If that's what you're looking to do. But it won't necessarily.
The majority of weight that you're losing, instead of being in the blood, will be eliminated from the body via carbon through breathing.
I see.
Right? You take in oxygen and nitrogen, and out comes carbon dioxide. And that's the form of most of the weight that's lost from the body when you lose weight.
I see. So, does it really make any difference in terms of the diabetes if you opt for a low carb versus the keto diet? Personally, I don't want to lose any more weight. I'm a scrawny little thing as it is, and I, have been trying to get some weight on me, and I was using carbs. Well, I'll have to tell you what happened to my numbers. And I would wake up every morning and I'd be ridiculously high, and that just makes me grumpy all day long, because then I feel like I'm playing catch up all day long. And that's not KETCHUP, which of course has carbs also. They don't leave anything alone anymore. That's where flavor comes from. So,
nice.
So let me.
Well, I can say that there are a great many individual differences. So it's hard to get that one size fits all approach. As it relates to diabetes, right, our main challenge is an insulin dysfunction that results in a typically higher than normal level of glucose in the blood. And then, of course, some people use insulin to reduce that, but then you get higher levels of glucose in your organs. And so the consequences are that if you can lower your carbohydrate intake, you lower the amount of insulin, yeah? And if you utilize a ketosis, right, or a constant change, you can burn if you produce insulin. So a lot of people who are type 2 will utilize this approach.
Right. I see.
Right, separate from type 1s. And so if you're a type 2 and you probably produce too much insulin, if you stop eating and go into ketosis, you will essentially burn that higher blood sugar, and over time, you might approach a more normal insulin level. Compare that to a lower carbohydrate approach, but not ketosis. Yeah, it might take longer to become more normal insofar as insulin function, but at least it will be less of a strain. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like going into a smoke-filled room. If you eat a lot of carbohydrates, that will raise your insulin levels, and eventually your body sees those or reacts to those high insulin levels by thinking it's in a very smoke-filled room, and eventually it's like you don't smell the smoke, or it's like your body doesn't realize that the insulin level is high. So what does it do? It just keeps making higher levels of insulin so that the cells can get to the sugar. I don't know if any of that made sense.
Most of it, yeah, I followed you. I think you're pretty good at this. I got to say, I picked great guests.
Clearly, you were thinking that a much smarter person was going to be.
No. I want somebody just like. No, I didn't mean it that way. That was nice. How to win friends and influence people. Yeah, I took a class, Dale Carnegie. Yeah, and no, I'm not paying you for the plug. Okay, that's
no.
And what about fasting? How's that for T1s?
So I'll tell you this. The very short answer is.
I fast all night while I'm sleeping. Isn't that enough?
It happens when you're sleeping, for sure. I'll tell you this, though. If you had your choice between eating a little bit, i.e. cutting back on calories, or not eating at all, it's better to not eat at all. Because then, the very act of eating, especially carbohydrates, and we don't have to use this as a segue, but I've written extensively on this piece, is that carbohydrates themselves, right? They're called appetizers because they make you hungry. And in fact, the plant
I got that.
Yeah, a typical plant strategy.
Is that like Lay's potato chips, but you can't eat just one?
Exactly. They entice pollinators by utilizing sugar, which is the highest and best form of a bribe, and they coat their seeds in this, in order to entice pollinators to spread their seed, or it's a plant's way of making more plants. And so if you have just a little bit, chances are you're going to want more. If you ever watch the hummingbird, they go from nectar-based plant to nectar-based plant, it drives them crazy. They keep seeking out more sugar, as do all or most animals that are pollinators.
That's very interesting.
Nice.
I could take over. Well, some of us like birds more than others, don't we, Laurence?
You know what? Let the birds eat the nectar and then eat the bird.
There you go. There you go. Or at least share it with my dog.
Well, I wouldn't say that about the dog. The dog's going to also probably want to eat birds.
Well, my dog is a diabetic too, but I'm still not feeding him any birds. I mean, he's not a bird dog. He likes steamed chicken and steamed green beans. I keep him on a very low carb diet. So Laurence, you started talking about your writings, and I'm very interested now in reading everything. So give us and my audience some ideas where they can read you, how they can follow you, and learn more. I mean, this is such important information.
Thank you so much.
Somehow I lost my way through the years. I mean, I'm telling you, but you can't
The last time I was here on your show, I forgot to talk about the most important thing, which isn't necessarily how they can reach me, but the groups that I serve that can provide this information.
That works.
And just give me a couple minutes to set this up. So from the last show, you asked me what was top on my mind. And top on my mind is the corrupt nature of the treatment protocols for diabetes. And the reason it's corrupt, and the footnote is that it's not illegal.
Right.
There's nothing illegal going on, but it's corrupt because the treatment manufacturers are the ones that are providing the treatment guidelines. Yeah?
True.
There's an inherent bias in the doctor's office. You can look to studies that show that the conflict, even from the times of Plato, are that the doctors have a business that they have to run, and the needs of the business often outweigh the needs of the patients, because the doctor needs to have ongoing products that a diabetic will purchase, or patients in general will purchase.
Right.
So there's that biasness, but there's corruptness in the treatment. That is that the largest diabetes diet guideline providers are the American Diabetes Association, and they take in $40+ million from pharmaceutical companies that provide the treatments and from food manufacturers that provide these high carbohydrate diets. That is a conflict of interest, a direct conflict of interest.
Indeed.
And then out in the Netherlands, right, you've got the World Diabetes Federation that takes in 100 billion Danish kroners, which is about, I think it's 15 cents, right, the conversion rate is about 15 cents per dollar. And they also take in significant funds from Novo Nordisk, which is a very large insulin producer. So let me fast forward to that. So the group that I founded that I'm very proud of and I care a lot about, and I don't make any money off of this. This is purely philanthropic and to spread information, is, as you guessed, called the Non-Corrupt Diabetes Association. And it's on Facebook, and anybody can go to Facebook and become a member of it and get the information. Yes, they can read about the books that I wrote, but that's not the emphasis. The emphasis is on sharing information about treatment protocols based on mine and other people in the group's experience, and that experience in a non-biased way. That is, things that work. And the things that work are a very low carbohydrate diet. It's fasting, right? Intermittent fasting. It's going out and taking walks in the sun so that the sunlight hits your skin and the cholesterol is converted to vitamin D. And getting sleep, right? We want
so far it's very workable for me.
Nice.
The sun on my face.
That in a nutshell is the message I have.
Is that like, and you two can be a good little T1? I'm trying. 50 years, I'm still looking and still listening. And Laurence, I want to thank you so much for opening my eyes, and I hope that other listeners who are T1s or who care for and about T1s get this message. When I think back to my diagnosis, nobody counted carbs. It was the exchange system. And I rode that train for a very long time, and it seemed to be okay until it wasn't anymore. But I really do recognize you. Recognize the difference now, and I have you to thank. From your students you shall be taught. So, again, Laurence, thank you so much for sitting in with me again today. And we will be certain to touch base with you and find out any other new marvels. And people can go to the Non-Corrupt site there on Facebook. But let me say this also while I have your attention. If any of our other fellow T1s would like to be a weekly co-host or come in for a week and be co-host with me on that show, it is so easy. All you have to do is write to me. Write at Bonnie at BonnieSher.com, and I'll make it happen. So let's do that. Laurence, you take good care, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you again, sir. We'll see.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. Have a great afternoon.
I love brilliant people. I'm telling you, there's so much to learn. Well, at least for me, and I've been doing this quite a while. But notwithstanding, next up, we have my Boomer News. And today's Boomer News comes to us from the nonprofit organization Public Citizen. And, well, it's all about gluten, which of course is in carbs, and views from my soapbox. I'll be back in 60 seconds.
For 3 million Americans with celiac disease, eating gluten, a protein in wheat, barley, and rye, can make them sick. Even small amounts of gluten in many products on grocery shelves can trigger painful and debilitating symptoms. Most food labels identify products containing gluten, but one widely used type of product doesn't: over-the-counter and prescription drugs. That's right, manufacturers sometimes use gluten in medications as an inactive ingredient. But drug labels usually don't indicate the use of gluten. To avoid gluten in medication, celiac patients must spend time and effort researching medications online and calling manufacturers. That is not a realistic option. Who can fix this problem? The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, which has long been aware of the issue. In 2008, a New York man with celiac disease urged the agency to ban gluten in medications, or at least to require they be labeled. The petition attracted 73 public comments, but the FDA did not act. In 2011, the FDA received another 138 comments. Still, the FDA did not act. Now lawyers at Public Citizen are representing the man in a lawsuit. The goal? To get the FDA to act on his request. Share the facts at www.citizen.org/pressroom.
Now we have come to the point of my show where I get up on my soapbox. Basically the soapbox is about who I thought really got it right, and my shout down is to people who I feel should really be ashamed of themselves. So let's start on the positive note with, well, it's all positive, with the shout out to a young lady. She's, I think, 18 years old. Her name is Coral Ortiz. And a few weeks ago, as the president of her class, her graduating high school class, she went to, I believe it was James Hill House High School in New Haven, Connecticut, where nearly all of its student population of approximately 1,000 students are minority, and more than half come from low-income families. And what Miss Ortiz did is stood up and spoke out. This as she is on her way to Harvard. Or I'm sorry, she's going to Yale, but she was also accepted at Harvard. So don't be so fast to make assumptions about people based upon their living situation. Because here's a young lady who's got it all ahead of her, and I will shout out to that any day. Now for my shout down. Let's here we go again. This is a shout down to the current administration for planning an unprecedented attack on our voting rights. This was reported by The Nation, and you're welcome to look it up. But I have to shout that down. That is a right, and before they're all gone, I think that's one very important one we make sure never gets fiddled with. What can I say? But before we say goodbye, I do want to thank my guests, Angie Wells and Laurence Chalem, and that's our show. And I really hope y'all will come back next week for another 50 minutes through the land of Bonnie, boomers, and the T1D community. And until then, let's see, until then. Oh, I remember until then. Please visit BonnieSher.com. Follow the number 1, BonnieSher.com. On Twitter, and it wouldn't be so terrible if you would like the Bonnie Sings Lena fan page on Facebook. Many of you are aware of the special role that the late Sammy Davis Jr. had in my life. He was my mentor, and he was my friend. And so I end this show as sort of a like in a Carol Burnett style. With a nod and a wink to you, Mr. D. Have a good week, everybody. Hope to see you next week. Bye-bye for now.